So, Mythic Quest has been cancelled.
What?
And I wanted to talk about that. Good morrow, everybody. So yes, as you guys have probably already seen by my many social media posts, Apple TV have not renewed Mythic Quest for another season. They have cancelled the show.
No! No! No!
Which, first of all, rude. And secondly, more eloquently, I am genuinely so gutted about this decision, and I just wanted to put my 2 cents in here about how much the show has meant to me over the last few years and how many unresolved issues Apple has left us with now thanks to this decision. Firstly, what a time to cancel a show, man, especially after that finale. Come on. After watching Heaven and Hell not even a month ago, 3 mere weeks ago we watched that, and I just can't believe there's going to be no renewal or closure of any kind for our characters. We are never going to see Poppy Lee as a mother. We're never going to see Poppy's kid. We're never going to see Dana and Rachel get married. After that proposal as well, are you joking me? Jo is going to remain an enigma for the rest of her existence. We will never know Jo's surname. It's never been said out loud. We're never going to know for sure what her actual name is, and she's just so ambiguous. We're never going to know anything more about this character. We're never going to get any Elysium gameplay. The masterpiece that Elysium apparently is, we're never going to see any of that shit on screen. I'm devastated.
A masterpiece.
We are never going to get to see Brad Bakshi be truly happy in his work life, in his personal life. It's just never going to happen. And we are never going to get to see David Brittlesby accept his evident bisexuality at a very sensitive age.
My what?
No, but seriously, we're never going to get to see D-Train get the respect that he deserves as a person or a manager, and we're never going to get to see him overcome his many mental health problems he's obviously been masking for so many fucking years. Now, the cast and creators of the show have announced that there will be an altered version of Heaven and Hell, the season finale of season 4, to give us that closure that we are craving right now, and a sort of ultimate ending for the show as a whole. But I do fear this is going to come at a cost, guys, because it's not the creators and writers' decision to end the show. I feel like it's going to be quite rushed, and it's not going to feel as genuine as the show always has been, especially for me. What also stuns me is the fact that Apple have come to this conclusion despite giving MQ a very recent spin-off series with SideQuest that has done very well. It's not like SideQuest flopped in any way, shape or form. I loved it. I was immediately sad after season 4 ended, and I immediately went on to watch SideQuest. I binged it all in one day. So no, I don't understand the logic of this decision. I really don't. Now, I will say there's some sort of silver lining here. As a writer and a creative myself, it's nice to be left with an open book of sorts, you know? Leaving something up to interpretation is kind of nice from a creative standpoint. It gives us a lot more room to work with creatively. Any fan fiction, any scenario that folks make up now is going to be considered canon because the canon no longer exists.
You don't have to rub it in.
We have free reign over a lot of things. We always have had free reign, but it is kind of nice knowing that our ideas are not going to get jumped on by the actual canon anymore. It's nice to have that room to be creative without fear that your headcanon isn't going to come true.
Is it true?
I have purposely put off writing about David and Brad for so long because I know for a fact that it's not going to be canon, and I'll just get sad that my headcanons are not going to be real.
It's so painful.
And that's just a neurodivergent thing. That's just a special little thing that I have, and I hold my hands up. But yes, as a creative, it's kind of nice to have that free reign over something, knowing that you're not going to get shat on by the actual creative process of the actual professional people.
Are y'all fucking with us?
Are you guys fucking with us?
Because I feel like you guys are fucking with us.
But it doesn't negate the fact that we're never going to see these characters in their natural environments again. We're never going to see the cast act as their characters ever again. And there are so many character arcs just left up in the air, and so many issues that remain unsolved and are now going to be unsalvageable. Kind of insane. Like, what is Rachel's job role now? She's come back to MQ, and for what? Brad is evidently the homie of the department again. Like,
I'm the head of monetization.
Only because I engineered it. I mean, I could take it from you in an instant.
my guy has literally been put in prison for insider trading, supposed insider trading, and has managed to claw his way up the ladder back to being the homie of MQ again, despite not being able to work in the financial sector again. But, you know. And I do think they missed out on a trick with Rachel. I really do. I'm going to always say this. Rachel should have been the lead writer of MQ when CW passed away. Even though Rachel hated her course at Berkeley, she hated going to school, and she did not want to become a writer after that. I think school just ruined her emotionally.
I don't want to go back to school.
she was really passionate about writing. Like, she was not passionate about being the head of monetization and internet e-commerce like one Brad Bagshot was. She became a money grabber because the job just makes you a money grabber. Brad was already there. My boy is an adventure capitalist. He's the in real life Scrooge McDuck, but just a little bit worse.
Unless it brings you happiness in the form of things you love.
Like becoming a cartoon duck?
And people like Poppy. Like, what the hell is going to happen to Poppy now after that situation with Iron at the end of Heaven and Hell? Is she going to move to the Netherlands to be with Storm? Is she going to stick around forever and have a baby in the States? Like, what is going to happen here? As someone who's watched the show since it started airing, I'm just genuinely devastated to see it come to an end so abruptly and without any explanation and round off for our characters. I really am. You really grow attached to these people, the cast, the crew, everybody. And I just know that it stings for them right now. I can sense that they're all really gutted about this entire thing. I really can. It becomes more than a job. When you work on a project like that, it becomes more than a job very quickly, you know? There's something very different about a show like MQ. There really is, and I can feel it in everyone that they're all really upset, and that upsets me. It really does. Now, I'm not gonna lie, the only reason I started watching MQ was because of Danny Pudi. Look, I was upset that DuckTales was coming to an end, and I needed a new Danny Pudi character to obsess over. I'd already lost Abed Nadir, I was about to lose Huey Duck. I didn't know what to do, guys. I didn't know what to do. And I was like, he's in this show, I guess I'll watch it. The only problem is, when I started watching it, I was just immediately encapsulated by the entire thing. I was taken aback. I really was. I knew a lot of the cast already, obviously. I was very familiar with Danny Pudi, I was familiar with Rob and David. Megan Gans obviously used to work on Community with Danny as well. But a lot of the cast I did not have a clue about. I didn't see Jessie in anything before, I hadn't seen Amani in anything before, or Charlotte. I was familiar with Ashley Birch's work, but other than voice work, I'd never seen her act physically, and it was really interesting to watch. And it's going to sound like such a cliche, but it really felt like coming home to something. It's like watching a really old show that you used to watch when you were a kid, and then watching it again as an adult feels very special and nostalgic. This is a show I'd never seen before, and I had that feeling when I started watching it. It was just like coming home. It's really cliche and really stupid, but it feels right to say.
I'm Brett and I'm a simp.
The writing, the acting, the general vibe towards the creative process of the entire show fascinated me from the get-go, and it got me through some really rough times. So I remember the first season came out quite shortly after my aunt passed away during a really strict UK lockdown, and I was really angry at the time. I was just angry at everything. I was angry at the world. I was angry that I couldn't see someone I really cared about before they passed away. Everything that anyone did just pissed me off. My mum was really sick at the time. She was diagnosed with a whole heap of things. I couldn't see my grandparents, who were getting progressively older and more sick themselves. I couldn't see my friends. I wasn't working to distract myself. It was a really rough time. And then I found out that DuckTales was ending, and that was the last straw, I tell you. That was my 13th reason. And then I just started watching this stupid show about these people who ran a video game company, these absolute losers running this multi-billion-dollar company, and it just resonated something in me. Like, just the vibe of the entire show was something I'd never seen before, despite knowing a lot of the cast, a lot of the writers already. It was just so different than your average office comedy. It was something that I'd never experienced before, and it just came to me at such an important time, and it just got me out of that little hole that I'd dug for myself. It really did. Especially Quarantine. Quarantine was a very special episode for me to watch, and I think that genuinely helped me more than I care to admit a lot of the time. We were in a really strict lockdown when my aunt passed away. We had to limit the amount of people at her funeral. So many people have been through this same circumstance. Like, I am not alone in this by any means, definitely not. But yeah, we had to cap the people at her funeral. I couldn't say goodbye to her before she passed away. It was a really rough time. And then to find out that the posh twats that are actually running the country were partying while I was sat by a telephone all night waiting for the call that Ali had passed away was kind of rough. That shit sort of sticks with you, you know, when you get angry about it, you get a little bit bitter. And then, like I say, watching Quarantine was a completely different experience for me. It's an episode that is going to stick with me for the rest of my life, not just for the show, but as television as a whole. It is a whole new way of making television, and I was obsessed with it. Restrictions were very different in different countries. We had our own restrictions here in the UK, the states had theirs, different states had theirs, let alone the entire country. But it was decided, despite lockdown rules, that MQ was going to continue. We are going to continue making this show. We're going to make an episode dedicated to the people who have given up so much during lockdown. We're going to give all the different perspectives of people who have worked at home during lockdown, who have lived alone during lockdown. It was perfect. Charlotte Nichtau's acting, absolutely nothing like I'd ever seen before. It was spectacular. Everyone was phenomenal. I just fell so much more deeply in love with the show after I watched Quarantine. I felt such a strong kinship to the creatives, the writers, the creators, the cast, the crew of the entire show. I felt such a strong bond with them, knowing how much they cared about this show, that they were willing to go out of their way to create an entire new filming process to make sure the show continued while running safely. It really sparked something within me, considering I was such an angry person about the world at the time and about lockdown, about COVID itself. It made me realise that most things are actually possible, and if you're with the right people, then you can actually do whatever the fuck you want and make it right. So many filming processes went on as if nothing had happened, like nothing was going on in the world. Mythic Quest made COVID canon.
Releasing a disease into the game right before a global pandemic was not a great look.
They weren't afraid to do that. They weren't afraid to use the word COVID, and they sterilized, sent out filming equipment to every single cast member, taught them how to film over Zoom calls, edited it all together, and it looked like a massive MQ video Zoom call, like a corporate Zoom call. And it is probably my favorite episode of the entire show. And we will also add in that Brad and David have some great moments in there as well. That definitely helps.
Both eyebrows, both eyelashes. Full on.
Pass. I'd rather have you lopsided.
I don't think I'll ever get that same feeling from an episode of a TV show ever again. I laughed, I cried, I just felt so much in that 20-something minutes of watching Quarantine. It was crazy. The circumstances were just so unbelievably rare and unprecedented, you know? I just can't imagine having that level of emotion towards a singular episode of a TV show ever again. I also just love the way that the cast, the creators, writers of the show are just so overly invested in this thing that they've created. As a creative with ADHD and autism, as a neurodivergent creative, it just makes me so happy to see people like that living professional lives, actually making professional content, who definitely feel the same way as us little people. It's very special. I understand feeling so heavily about the thing that you're invested in, so heavily about your craft, and you want everyone else who's witnessing it, who's absorbing that craft, that media, you want them to feel the exact same way you do. And that came across so much during the entirety of MQ, not just particular episodes, but from start to fucking finish, man. You can tell how much effort every single person put in to make sure we as an audience resonated with their feelings. And I'm just gonna forever be envious of the friendships that these guys have made during the course of filming. The Questy Besties, I'm gonna miss them so much.
And now they're Questy Besties.
And me.
And David Hornsby.
David Hornsby and his women, you know? I remember listening to Questy Besties in the car when I was learning how to drive. I don't know how greatly my mother feels for David Hornsby nowadays. Now, speaking of David, I personally would like to thank David Brittlesby for being one of the most relatable characters in any media I have ever experienced in my life. In the 27 years I've been on this planet, never have I met an adult character that I've resonated with so much. Now, I've spoken about David on many social media platforms, especially Tumblr, and I don't think I'm ever going to shut up about this man. That pathetic little mess of a 40-something-year-old man just resonated with me from start to finish. I knew who my kin was when I started watching Mythic Quest. It was as soon as David Brittlesby opened his goddamn mouth, I was like, that's the one, that's mine, that is my man.
You're fucking me.
Yes.
You're fucking me.
Like, people just don't understand. They never will. The closeted bisexuality, the continuous panic, the absolute anxiety of this guy, the way he just automatically caved to any authority despite him being in charge all the time. The underlying aspect of David's mental health is something that was never addressed as well, and that's something that is really quite special to me. It was something that was getting progressively worse throughout the show, and if you analyse David Brittlesby as a character, which I have done multiple times, you will realise how much his mental health gets worse as the show goes on.
The breastplate could represent that I'm afraid to get hurt.
He is this close to the edge. He's so close. And just like the ADHD of it all, I just look at that man and think, he's like one therapy meeting away from a diagnosis at a very sensitive age. I am forever going to be indebted to David Hornsby for portraying my 40-something-year-old self very beautifully. Truly gives me something to look forward to. And I've got to talk about my guy Brad Bakshi on main, getting upset. I just can't believe I'm never going to see that man on my screen ever again. I didn't realise the last time I saw him would be the last time, you know? Having a favourite character on a TV show or a movie is very special, but it also comes at a price. Whether your TV show gets cancelled or whether it just simply comes to an end, it still stings knowing that your favourite character isn't going to be seen in any new shenanigans or hijinks ever again. Like, what do you mean Brad and David are never going to actually have a Cole Porter night and get a little bit too tipsy and make out towards the latter end of the evening and pretend that nothing ever happened the next morning? Like, what do you mean? And what do you mean that Brad's never actually going to be Rachel's best man at her and Dana's wedding? And what do you mean Brad Bakshi is never going to confront his arsehole of a brother and get the closure that he deserves as his own character in his own right? What do you mean? I am going to miss my sociopathic, capitalist, little bastard so much. Thank you, Brad Bakshi, for being the absolute worst. You were the best. R.I.P. Brad Bakshi, you'd have loved gay marriage. And don't get me wrong, I'm obviously going to miss the entire cast as well. Nobody will go unnoticed here in my mind. The Questy Besties, I'm going to miss my girls so much.
Women.
Right.
See, that's the David coming out. That's the David coming out there.
Fun day's coming out. You'll see. You'll all see.
I've never experienced acting quite like Charlotte Nichtow. She's an absolute artist. I am so grateful to have watched her in such a beautiful way these last few years. I really am. Considering I've never seen any of her work before, this is the first time I've been introduced to Charlotte as well, and she's phenomenal. Like I say, artist, genius, all of the above. Jessie Ennis, what can I say? Again, just a dream to watch. Watching this absolute beautiful cutie pie just prance across my screen being a literal lunatic, like one spoon drop away from just killing a guy. She's my hero, I think. I'm gonna miss Jo so much. She's insane.
Jesus. Fucking insane.
And Imani. Beautiful Imani. I'm just gonna be in debt to Ashley and Imani for portraying a queer couple so beautifully. Lesbian and sapphic relationships are definitely not portrayed well enough in media, especially live action media as well. Cartoons are doing it better, guys. Come on. This is why I watch cartoons. But yes, I am absolutely so grateful for Imani and Ashley for portraying Rachel and Dana so fucking well, and just for absolutely nailing it every single time, especially with relationship stuff. They were the absolute cutest, and I will love them forever, but they also had their own personalities, which makes it so important to me. And Rob McElhenney, I mean, what can I say? Again, Bro's a genius. He's an artist. He's given us this show off of his own back, and it has just been an absolute dream to be a part of it. It really has. He has portrayed this guy so well. He's portrayed Iron absolutely magnificently. This guy who came across instantaneously as an absolute narcissist with no other personality other than being the head of MQ. The creator of MQ, that was his entire personality for so long. And then we got his backstories, and then we got a little bit of a deeper look into his character, and you feel empathy for the guy. And he nailed it. I'm gonna miss the cast's consistent social media updates. I'm gonna miss stalking all the cast members, looking at the stories, try to get some behind the scenes nonsense. I'm gonna miss editing blind reaction videos for you guys at obscene hours of the morning. I'll miss the nostalgia that the first 2 seasons gave me, and I will forever be grateful for how they made me feel during a really rough time of my life. This show really did get me through a lot. Like I say, it helped me climb out of that hole that I dug myself during a really dark time, and I will safely say that a lot of people feel the same way. It wasn't just a regular office comedy. It was a family. So cringy. But it was a family. This insane, eclectic family full of mentally ill queer people who were still functional in their own right and made the other mentally ill queers feel safe and at home there. That's me. I'm mentally ill queers. It truly made us feel valued and seen. This show was very rightfully claimed by queer creatives, and I will stand by that fact. It's like it was made for us. It's like it was tailor-made for creative gay people. It was the first time that so many of us had really felt truly seen and heard, like showcasing the creative process in a really real way. Considering the show was about a game, it became so much more than just a game. The game was the concept, and a family was created.
I thought it was just a video game.
Yeah, well, it's not.
So, on behalf of all the other creative mentally ill queers out there, I would like to say thank you to Mythic Quest for the laughter, for the tears. Thank you for the queer joy, for the messy arcs, for the perfect imperfections, and for making us feel like we belonged with you guys, for making us feel like we were coming home. And most of all, thank you for comparing Brad Bakshi to Scrooge McDuck.
Are you familiar with DuckTales?
This really was our show, and I'm so proud to have been part of its audience. At last, the night has ended, and so a new day dawns. Huzzah. Huzzah. Fuck this fucking show, actually. Meeting adjourned.
Wolves out, baby!